EastEnders viewers are set for heartbreaking scenes next week as Denise Fox, Diane Parrish, receives terrifying news about her health. After weeks of concern over her unexplained exhaustion and tiredness, Denise finally gets the results of her recent hospital tests, and she's left completely stunned when doctors tell her she has blood cancer. The emotional storyline marks the beginning of what's set to be a huge journey for Denise over the coming months, with the character receiving a diagnosis of acute myeloid leukemia, AML, a form of blood cancer. Fans have already noticed something wasn't quite right with Denise recently, as those closest to her became increasingly worried about how run down and exhausted she seemed. While Denise initially brushed off concerns, upcoming scenes see her finally facing the reality of her symptoms after undergoing further medical tests. The shock news is expected to leave Denise and her loved ones reeling as they try to process what happens next. While details about who Denise first confides in are being kept under wraps for now, it's clear the storyline will have a huge emotional impact on the Fox family moving forward. Denise has been one of Walford's strongest and most resilient characters over the years, often supporting others through difficult situations, so seeing her suddenly faced with such life-changing news is sure to hit viewers hard. The storyline comes at a particularly significant time for the character, as Denise recently celebrated 20 years in Albert Square. Since arriving in Walford back in 2006, Denise has become one of EastEnders' most iconic characters, finding herself at the center of countless major storylines, dramatic relationships, and emotional family moments. From raising her family to surviving some of the square's darkest moments, Denise has remained a fan favorite for 2 decades, making this latest chapter even more emotional for longtime viewers. The storyline will continue to play out across the rest of the year, following Denise as she comes to terms with her diagnosis and begins treatment. Viewers will also see the impact the illness has on those around her, including her family and closest friends. EastEnders bosses have confirmed they've been working closely with Blood Cancer UK to ensure the storyline is portrayed as accurately and sensitively as possible. Acute myeloid leukemia, also known as AML, is a type of blood cancer that affects the blood and bone marrow. The condition can develop quickly, and symptoms often include fatigue, frequent infections, bruising, and feeling generally unwell. By focusing on Denise's experience, the BBC soap hopes to raise awareness of the condition, while showing the emotional realities of living with a blood cancer diagnosis. The storyline is also expected to showcase Diane Parrish at her very best, with fans already predicting some powerful performances ahead. Denise has been at the center of many major EastEnders storylines over the years, but this could become one of the character's most emotional and challenging yet. As Denise's journey begins next week, fans can expect emotional scenes, difficult conversations, and plenty of heartbreak, as one of Walford's most loved residents faces an uncertain future. The rain hammered against the windows of number 20 as EastEnders icon Denise Fox sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at the unopened hospital letter in her trembling hands. The kettle screamed behind her, but she barely heard it. Her mind was already racing with fear. Patrick had noticed the change in her days ago. Denise, normally sharp, fiery, impossible to silence, had become distant. She snapped at Chelsea for the smallest things. She forgot conversations. Worst of all, she kept disappearing to cry where nobody could see her. But tonight, the truth could no longer stay hidden. Slowly, Denise opened the envelope. The words blurred together at first. Urgent follow-up required. Her breathing became shallow. Further blood tests indicate abnormal cell activity. And then the sentence that shattered her completely. There is concern regarding possible blood cancer. The mug slipped from her hands and smashed across the kitchen floor. At that exact moment, Jack walked in. Denise! He rushed toward her, finding her frozen in terror. She couldn't even speak. All she could do was hand him the letter. Jack's face drained of color as he read. No, this has to be wrong. But Denise finally broke. What if it isn't? She whispered. What if I'm dying? The words echoed through the room like a gunshot. Across Albert Square, life carried on as normal. Stacy argued with Lily about school. Kat laughed loudly outside the cab office. The Queen Vic buzzed with gossip and music. But inside Denise's house, the world had stopped. Jack tried to stay calm, but Denise could see the panic in his eyes. He immediately started insisting they get second opinions, more tests, the best doctors possible. Yet Denise barely listened. Her mind kept jumping to Chelsea, to Raymond, to all the moments she might never see. Would she watch Raymond grow up? Would Chelsea cope without her? Would she become just another tragic name whispered around Walford? The terror consumed her. The next morning, Denise tried to act normal. She forced herself to smile while serving customers at the salon, but her hands shook so badly she dropped a bottle of nail polish. Chelsea noticed instantly. "Mom, what's going on?" "I'm fine." "No, you're not." Denise wanted to lie again. But then she looked at her daughter's worried face and realized she couldn't carry this alone anymore. Tears filled her eyes. "There's something
Chelsea
wrong with
stared
my
at her
blood." Silently. "The doctors think," Denise choked. "They think it could be cancer." Chelsea's face crumpled in horror. "No." And suddenly mother and daughter were clinging to each other in the middle of the salon, both sobbing uncontrollably as stunned customers looked away awkwardly. News travels fast in Walford. By lunchtime, half the square knew Denise was seriously ill. Some offered sympathy. Others whispered speculation. But for Denise, every pitying look felt unbearable. She hated being treated like a victim. That evening she exploded at everyone. "I am not dead yet," she screamed inside the Vic after overhearing hushed conversations. "Stop looking at me like I'm already gone." The pub fell silent. Even Sharon looked shaken. Denise stormed out, humiliated and furious, while Jack followed desperately behind her. Outside in the rain, Denise finally admitted the truth she'd been too scared to say aloud. "I'm terrified, Jack." Her voice cracked completely. "I wake up every morning thinking this might be the start of the end." Jack pulled her close as she cried into his chest. "You are not facing this alone," he promised. But Denise wasn't convinced. Days later came the hospital appointment everyone dreaded. The waiting room was suffocatingly quiet. Denise sat rigidly beside Jack while the seconds dragged like hours. Then her name was called. Inside the consultation room, the doctor spoke carefully, gently, the kind of voice that instantly makes people panic more. The tests had revealed signs strongly linked to a rare form of blood cancer. More investigations were needed. Treatment discussions would begin immediately. Denise felt numb. Jack asked questions. The doctor explained options. But Denise barely heard any of it. Cancer. The word echoed endlessly in her mind. When they left the hospital, Denise suddenly stopped walking. "I can't do this." Jack turned to her. "Yes, you can. What if I lose my hair? What if I get weak? What if Raymond gets scared of me?" "He won't." "But I'm scared of me." That line broke Jack completely. Back in Albert Square, Denise finally allowed herself to lean on the people around her. Patrick refused to leave her side. Kim tried desperately to keep her laughing even through tears. Chelsea became fiercely protective. And slowly, Denise realized something important. She wasn't alone in this fight. The final scene played out late at night. Denise stood alone in the square gardens, staring at the glowing lights of Walford around her. Life continued everywhere she looked. Laughter from the Vic, music from passing cars, children running through the market. For the first time since the diagnosis, Denise took a deep breath. She was terrified, but she was still here. And Denise Fox had never been the type to go down without a fight. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to EastEnders Spoilers Official.